thousands of trucks ready for sale, just sitting unused in lots.
Why are thousands of them being parked in giant lots instead of being shipped off to dealers for sale?
Pickup trucks were once the easiest vehicles to sell in America. Dealers couldn't keep them on the lot. Today, entire truck sections are overflowing. Prices are high, incentives aren't working, and buyers are walking away. In this video, we're breaking down 18 pickup trucks that are quietly destroying dealers, models sitting unsold for months as sales completely collapse. If you think all trucks still sell easily, this list will change your mind. Number 18. Ram 1500. Not long ago, the Ram 1500 was one of the easiest trucks for dealers to move. Big incentives, aggressive styling, and a reputation for comfort made it a strong alternative to Ford and Chevrolet. Today, that momentum has clearly slowed, and dealers are feeling it. The biggest issue isn't that the Ram 1500 is a bad truck. In many ways, it's still one of the most comfortable full-size pickups on the road. The problem is oversupply mixed with pricing confusion. Dealers stocked Ram 1000s aggressively, expecting post-pandemic demand to hold. Instead, buyers pulled back, hard. Walk through many dealer lots, and you'll notice something unusual. Rows of nearly identical Ram 1000s, often sitting for months. Too many trims, too many configurations, and too little clarity. Buyers are overwhelmed. When everything looks like a special edition, nothing feels special anymore. Then there's the price problem. Ram leaned heavily into premium positioning. Higher trims pushed well into luxury territory, sometimes uncomfortably close to heavy-duty truck pricing. For buyers who just want a reliable work truck or a simple daily driver, the value equation no longer makes sense. They either downsize, delay the purchase, or walk across the street to look at used inventory instead. In response, dealers have thrown incentives at the problem. Cash rebates, dealer discounts, special financing. But here's the issue. Buyers have started to expect discounts. Instead of creating urgency, incentives have trained customers to wait longer. Every month a truck sits, the buyer assumes a better deal is coming next. Another quiet factor is buyer trust. Recent changes in engines and powertrains have made some traditional truck buyers cautious. Many prefer proven setups and long-term reliability, especially when prices are this high. When uncertainty creeps in, buyers don't rush. They pause. The result? Dealers are stuck. Floor plan costs add up. Inventory ages. Sales managers feel pressure to move units without destroying margins. And what was once a fast-selling truck has become a slow-moving liability. The Ram 1500 isn't collapsing because it failed. It's collapsing because too many were built, priced too high, and sold into a market that quietly changed. And this is just the beginning of what we're seeing across the truck world. Number 17. Ford F-150 Lightning. The Ford F-150 Lightning launched with massive hype. It wasn't just another electric vehicle. It was supposed to be the moment electric trucks went mainstream. Dealers stocked up expecting endless wait lists and instant sellouts. Instead, many of those trucks are now sitting and sitting and sitting. The core problem is expectation versus reality. Early demand came from tech enthusiasts and brand loyalists who wanted to be first. Once that wave passed, everyday truck buyers stepped in and hesitated. For many of them, the Lightning simply didn't fit how they actually use a pickup. Price is the biggest wall. As configurations climbed, so did sticker shock. Many Lightnings landed deep into territory, where buyers started asking uncomfortable questions. Do I really want to spend this much on a truck that depends entirely on charging? At those prices, buyers expect zero compromises. The Lightning, for many, still feels like a compromise. Range anxiety didn't help. Real-world towing, cold weather, and highway driving painted a less optimistic picture than early marketing suggested. For buyers who tow trailers, haul equipment, or travel long rural distances, uncertainty kills deals. These buyers aren't anti-technology, they're risk-averse. If a truck introduces doubt into their workday, they walk away. Charging infrastructure also plays a role. Home charging works well for some, but apartment dwellers, rural buyers, and older homeowners wary of electrical upgrades often pause. Public charging isn't yet seamless enough to inspire confidence for a vehicle that's supposed to replace a traditional work truck. Dealers responded the only way they could: incentives. Discounts appeared faster than anyone expected. Financing deals followed. But that created a new problem. Buyers now believe prices will fall further. Instead of urgency, the Lightning created hesitation. Why buy today if tomorrow might be cheaper? There's also the perception issue. The F-150 name carries decades of trust. Attaching it to an electric platform raised expectations sky high. When reality didn't perfectly match those expectations, disappointment followed. Not outrage, just quiet withdrawal. The result is visible across dealer lots. Lightnings parked longer than planned, floor plan costs climbing, and sales teams struggling to explain value without leaning heavily on discounts. The Ford F-150. Lightning isn't a failure of engineering. It's a lesson in timing, pricing, and understanding truck buyers. Dealers bet on a revolution arriving faster than it did, and now they're the ones paying the price. Number 16. Chevrolet Silverado 1500. For decades, the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 has been one of the pillars of the American truck market. It's familiar, capable, and deeply rooted in buyer loyalty, which is exactly why its current situation on dealer lots is so surprising. Despite its reputation, the Silverado 1500 is now lingering longer than dealers ever expected. The problem isn't demand disappearing overnight, it's supply outpacing reality. Dealers stocked Silverados heavily, assuming steady turnover like in previous years. But the market quietly shifted. Buyers didn't vanish. They simply became far more cautious. When prices climbed, expectations changed with them. Sticker shock is now impossible to ignore. Many Silverado 1500 trims crept upward into price ranges that used to be reserved for heavy-duty trucks or luxury SUVs. For longtime Chevrolet buyers, that created hesitation. They started asking questions they never had to before. Is this truck really worth this much? Do I need all of this? Chevrolet also expanded trim options and packages, which sounded great on paper. In practice, it created confusion. Two trucks sitting side by side can differ by thousands of dollars with no obvious visual distinction. Buyers feel uneasy when they can't clearly understand what they're paying for, and uneasy buyers don't sign paperwork. Incentives were supposed to fix this. Cash back offers, dealer discounts, special APR financing. But incentives now feel permanent rather than special. Buyers have learned to wait. Every unsold Silverado reinforces the belief that a better deal is just around the corner. Another issue is internal competition. The Silverado doesn't just compete with Ford and Ram, it competes with used trucks, certified pre-owned models, and even Chevrolet's own past inventory. Lightly used Silverados with lower prices and proven reliability often look like the smarter choice. Then there's timing. Many buyers who upgraded during the recent boom simply aren't ready to buy again. Trucks last a long time, and replacement cycles are stretching. When prices rise and financing tightens, patience increases. For dealers, the result is painful. Inventory ages. Holding costs climb. Sales teams feel pressure to move units without cutting too deeply into margins. What was once a safe bet has become a balancing act. The Chevrolet Silverado 1500 isn't failing. It's stuck in a market that changed faster than dealers expected. And as inventory builds, even the strongest nameplates are learning that loyalty alone doesn't guarantee sales anymore. Number 15. GMC Sierra 1500. The GMC Sierra 1500 was designed to be the premium truck. Everything the Silverado offers, but dressed sharper and priced higher. For years, that strategy worked. Buyers who wanted capability with a touch of luxury gladly paid more. But today, that premium positioning is creating a serious problem on dealer lots. The Sierra 1500's biggest issue is price without urgency. Many trims now sit at levels where buyers expect something extraordinary. Instead, they're seeing a truck that feels familiar. Comfortable, yes. Capable, absolutely. But not different enough to justify the gap for a growing number of shoppers. Dealers leaned hard into high-end trims, expecting strong margins and quick sales. The result? Rows of Denali's and upscale configurations aging quietly on lots. Entry-level Sierras are relatively rare, while expensive trims dominate inventory. That mismatch is costing dealers time and money. Buyers are also cross-shopping more aggressively than before. When a Sierra's price overlaps with luxury SUVs or even heavy-duty trucks, shoppers pause. Some walk away. Others decide to keep what they already have. The emotional pull that once made the Sierra feel special isn't as strong when budgets feel tighter. Incentives haven't provided relief. Discounts help, but they also weaken the truck's premium image. When a luxury pickup requires heavy rebates to move, buyers sense hesitation, and hesitation kills momentum. Many simply wait, assuming deeper cuts are inevitable. There's also internal overlap. The Sierra competes not only with rivals, but with its own sibling, the Silverado. When both sit on the same lot with similar capabilities and very different prices, buyers start questioning the premium. That question alone can derail a sale. Another factor is buyer timing. Many Sierra owners upgraded recently and aren't ready to trade again. Combined with higher interest rates and cautious spending, that stretches replacement cycles even further. For dealers, the situation is frustrating. The Sierra 1500 is a strong product, but strength doesn't move metal when pricing and demand fall out of alignment. Floor plan costs rise. Inventory ages. Sales managers feel pressure without a clear fix. The GMC Sierra 1500 isn't being rejected. It's being postponed. And in today's market, postponement is just as damaging as a hard no. Number 14. Toyota Tundra. For years, the Toyota Tundra benefited from something most trucks don't get for free: trust. Buyers believed it would last forever, even if it wasn't the most advanced or fuel-efficient option. That reputation carried the Tundra a long way. But today, dealer lots are telling a very different story. The current Tundra's struggle comes down to expectation shock. Toyota made major changes: new powertrains, new tech, new positioning. On paper, that was necessary to stay competitive. In reality, it unsettled the very buyers who once bought the Tundra without hesitation. Pricing is the first hurdle. The Tundra moved firmly upmarket, landing in ranges that longtime Toyota truck owners weren't prepared for. Many expected Toyota value and instead found luxury-level pricing. When a truck known for simplicity suddenly demands premium money, buyers pause, and pausing is deadly in today's inventory-heavy market. Then there's buyer caution. Toyota truck buyers tend to be conservative. They don't rush into first-generation changes. They wait. New engines and updated drivetrains may be technically sound, but trust is built over time, not brochures. Many shoppers are choosing to sit on the sidelines until long-term reliability becomes undeniable. Fuel economy also failed to create the breakthrough many expected. While improvements exist, they weren't dramatic enough to overcome price resistance. Buyers asking themselves, "What am I really gaining?" often struggle to find a compelling answer. Dealers felt confident stocking Tundras aggressively, assuming brand loyalty would do the heavy lifting. Instead, inventory started aging. Incentives appeared, but cautiously. Toyota's conservative approach to discounts meant trucks didn't move quickly enough to reset momentum. Another quiet issue is competition within the lot. Buyers comparing Tundras to domestic rivals often see more power, more trim flexibility, or lower transaction prices elsewhere. Even if they still trust Toyota, trust alone doesn't close deals at these numbers. The result is a slow, uncomfortable buildup. Tundras aren't being rejected outright. They're being delayed. And every delay adds pressure on dealers holding inventory they assumed would fly off the lot. The Toyota Tundra's situation proves something important. Even the strongest reputations can stall when pricing, change, and buyer psychology collide at the wrong moment. Number 13. Nissan Titan. The Nissan Titan has always lived in a tough spot. It wasn't the best-selling truck, and it never tried to be. Instead, it relied on a smaller but loyal group of buyers who liked its simplicity, strong V8, and straightforward ownership experience. That approach worked for a while. Today, though, the Titan is one of the clearest examples of a truck dealers simply can't move. The biggest problem is confidence, both from buyers and dealers. Rumors about the Titan's future have circulated for years, and uncertainty is poison in the truck market. When buyers start asking, "Will this truck still be supported long-term?" sales slow immediately. Even loyal customers hesitate when they sense a model may be nearing the end of the road. Pricing hasn't helped. The Titan often lands in an awkward middle ground, more expensive than buyers expect for a Nissan truck, yet not premium enough to justify choosing it over better-known rivals. When shoppers compare features, resale value, and brand strength, the Titan struggles to stand out in a crowded segment. Dealers also face a stocking dilemma. They don't want to overcommit, but understocking doesn't help either. The result is aging inventory that feels forgotten rather than in demand. Buyers walking lots can sense it. Trucks that don't move quickly develop an invisible stigma. Why hasn't anyone bought this yet? Incentives appear, but they don't create excitement. Discounts often feel defensive rather than attractive. Instead of sparking urgency, they reinforce the perception that something is wrong. Buyers begin waiting for deeper cuts, or avoid the model altogether. Another issue is resale value. Truck buyers think long-term. When resale projections feel uncertain, especially compared to dominant competitors, hesitation becomes the default response. Even buyers who like the Titan on paper struggle to justify the risk. For dealers, the Titan has become a slow-moving asset. Floor plan costs accumulate. Sales staff spend time explaining instead of closing. And every month the Titan sits unsold, it becomes harder to position with confidence. The Nissan Titan isn't failing because it's unusable or outdated. It's failing because uncertainty has erased urgency. In a market flooded with options, any hint of doubt is enough to stop buyers in their tracks. Number 12. Ford Ranger. The Ford Ranger was supposed to be the smart middle ground. Smaller than a full-size truck, easier to live with, and more affordable. Or at least, that was the promise. Dealers stocked Rangers expecting steady demand from buyers who didn't want something as big or expensive as an F-150. What they're seeing now is a very different outcome. The biggest issue facing the Ranger is price versus perception. Over time, the Ranger drifted upward in cost, especially once popular options and higher trims entered the picture. Many buyers walk onto the lot, expecting a reasonably priced mid-size truck, and leave surprised by how close the numbers feel to full-size territory. When that realization hits, the Ranger loses its main advantage. Buyers start asking a simple question. If I'm already spending this much, why not just go bigger? For many, that question ends the conversation right there. The Ranger isn't rejected. It's quietly replaced by something else in the buyer's mind. Another challenge is internal competition. Ford's own lineup works against the Ranger. The F-150 still dominates attention, incentives, and marketing. When both trucks sit on the same lot, the Ranger can feel like the compromise option rather than the confident choice. That's a tough position for any vehicle. Dealers also stocked Rangers heavily during a period when mid-sized trucks were gaining momentum. But demand didn't rise evenly across all trims. Higher-priced versions now sit longer, while the more affordable configurations are harder to find. That imbalance leaves lots filled with Rangers that don't match what cautious buyers are currently looking for. Fuel economy improvements weren't dramatic enough to offset pricing concerns either. Buyers expecting a clear efficiency win often find the difference smaller than anticipated, especially in real-world driving. Without a strong cost-saving argument, patience replaces urgency. Incentives have appeared, but they haven't solved the problem. Discounts help, but they also signal that demand isn't as strong as expected. Buyers sense that and wait. Every month that passes reinforces the idea that better deals are coming. For dealers, the Ranger has become a slow burn. It doesn't move fast enough to feel healthy, yet it isn't bad enough to write off. Inventory ages quietly, tying up space and capital. The Ford Ranger's struggle shows how dangerous it is to drift away from a vehicle's original purpose. When a practical truck starts feeling expensive, buyers stop rushing, and dealer lots start filling up. Number 11. Chevrolet Colorado. The Chevrolet Colorado arrived with a lot of confidence. A fresh redesign, bold styling, and a simplified lineup were supposed to make it one of the strongest midsize pickups on the market. Early attention was strong. Dealers stocked up expecting momentum to build. Instead, many Colorados are now sitting longer than planned, and that's catching dealers off guard. The core issue is pricing pressure in a segment built on value. The new Colorado looks tougher and more capable than before, but it also costs more, sometimes much more. Once popular trims and options are added, buyers quickly realize they're approaching prices that feel uncomfortably close to full-size trucks. That realization changes behavior instantly. Mid-size truck buyers are practical. They're often downsizing intentionally or trying to avoid full-size costs. When the Colorado no longer feels like the economical choice, its appeal weakens. Buyers don't storm out. They hesitate, go home, and rethink the purchase. Many never come back. Another challenge is expectation management. The redesign raised expectations across the board. Buyers expected noticeable gains in efficiency, usability, and everyday comfort. What they found instead was improvement, but not always enough to justify the price jump. When expectations rise faster than perceived value, disappointment follows quietly. Dealers also face an inventory imbalance. Higher trims dominate lots, while simpler configurations are harder to find. That leaves many Colorados priced beyond what cautious buyers are willing to commit to right now. The trucks themselves aren't flawed. The mix is. Competition doesn't help either. The midsize segment is crowded, and buyers compare aggressively. When similar trucks offer comparable capability for less, or when full-size incentives narrow the price gap, the Colorado struggles to stand out. Incentives have started to appear, but they come with a side effect. Buyers interpret them as a sign that demand didn't meet expectations. Instead of creating urgency, they encourage waiting. Each unsold unit reinforces the belief that deeper discounts are inevitable. For dealers, the situation is frustrating. The Colorado feels close to success, yet just far enough off to stall. Inventory ages. Floor plan costs rise. Sales staff spend more time explaining value than closing deals. The Chevrolet Colorado isn't failing because it's outdated or undesirable. It's struggling because it landed in a narrow space, too expensive to feel practical, not distinct enough to feel premium. And in today's market, that middle ground is a dangerous place to be. Number 10. GMC Canyon. The GMC Canyon was meant to be the refined alternative in the mid-size truck world. Smaller than a full-size pickup, yet positioned as more upscale than most of its rivals. On paper, it sounds like a smart niche. On dealer lots, however, that niche has become uncomfortably small. The Canyon's biggest challenge is premium pricing in a value-driven segment. Many buyers shopping for a mid-size truck are doing so intentionally. They want something easier to park, cheaper to run, and less expensive to buy. When they see Canyon pricing that creeps into full-size territory, hesitation sets in immediately. GMC leaned heavily into higher trims, confident that buyers would pay extra for refinement. Instead, lots are filling with well-equipped Canyons that take longer and longer to sell. Entry-level versions exist, but they're often overshadowed by pricier inventory that doesn't match current buyer caution. There's also the problem of perceived redundancy. Buyers quickly notice how similar the Canyon is to the Chevrolet Colorado sitting nearby. When the capability looks nearly identical, shoppers start questioning the price difference. That question alone can derail a sale, especially when budgets are tight. Another factor is timing. Many mid-size buyers upgraded recently and aren't in a rush to replace their trucks. With interest rates higher and uncertainty lingering, patience becomes the default behavior. The Canyon isn't being rejected, it's being postponed. Fuel economy gains haven't been dramatic enough to shift the equation either. Buyers expecting clear savings over full-size trucks often find the difference smaller than expected. Without a strong efficiency advantage, the Canyon's case becomes harder to make. Incentives are now part of the conversation, but they don't bring relief. Discounts help move units, but they also weaken the Canyon's premium image. Buyers sense that tension. If a refined truck needs aggressive incentives, they assume prices may fall further and wait. For dealers, the Canyon has become a slow-moving problem. Inventory ages quietly. Floor plan costs accumulate. Sales teams struggle to create urgency around a truck that lives in an awkward middle space. The GMC Canyon isn't a bad truck. It's a victim of positioning. When a midsize pickup tries to be premium without a clear advantage, it risks sitting. Exactly what's happening now. Number 9. Jeep Gladiator. The Jeep Gladiator entered the market with something no other pickup had: personality. It wasn't designed to compete head-to-head with work trucks. It was a lifestyle vehicle, aimed at buyers who wanted open-air freedom and off-road credibility in pickup form. Early on, that uniqueness worked. Today, it's become the Gladiator's biggest problem. The core issue is novelty fatigue. Once the excitement faded, the pool of buyers willing to live with the Gladiator's compromises shrank fast. It looks rugged and adventurous, but for everyday truck duties, many buyers quickly realize it demands sacrifices. Pricing plays a major role. Gladiators aren't cheap, especially once popular trims and packages are added. At those prices, buyers expect comfort, refinement, and flexibility. Instead, they get a vehicle that feels purpose-built for a narrow lifestyle. For shoppers who need a truck to do truck things most of the time, that trade-off is hard to justify. Dealers leaned into the Gladiator's image, stocking lots with eye-catching trims and off-road-focused versions. The problem? Those buyers already bought theirs. What's left is slower, more practical demand, and the Gladiator doesn't naturally appeal to that crowd. There's also the daily driver reality. Ride quality, cabin noise, and fuel efficiency are constant reminders that this truck was built for fun first. That's fine for enthusiasts, but less appealing for buyers comparing it to more conventional pickups, offering smoother rides and better efficiency. Incentives have arrived, but they don't solve the identity issue. Discounts help, but they don't expand the buyer pool. Instead, they signal that demand has cooled. Many shoppers assume deeper deals are coming and choose to wait, or move on entirely. Another factor is resale uncertainty. As demand narrows, buyers question long-term value. When resale becomes a question mark, hesitation replaces impulse buying. For dealers, the Gladiator is a slow mover. Inventory ages, floor plan costs rise. Sales staff struggle to pitch a truck that requires explaining rather than simply demonstrating value. The Jeep Gladiator isn't failing because it's poorly made. It's struggling because lifestyle vehicles depend on emotion, and emotion is hard to sustain when prices rise and practicality matters more than image. Number 8. Honda Ridgeline. The Honda Ridgeline has always been different, and that difference is exactly why it's struggling on dealer lots today. Designed to be practical, comfortable, and easy to live with, the Ridgeline avoids the traditional body-on-frame formula most truck buyers expect. For some, that's a strength. For many others, it's a deal-breaker. The Ridgeline's biggest challenge is identity confusion. It does a lot of things well, but it doesn't clearly fit into what many buyers think a pickup truck should be. Buyers walk in expecting toughness and walk out feeling unsure. In a market flooded with choices, uncertainty kills sales. Pricing has made that problem worse. Once options are added, The Ridgeline sits in a range where buyers start cross-shopping more rugged-looking trucks. At similar prices, many choose something that looks more capable, even if they don't actually need that capability. Dealers also face a perception hurdle. The Ridgeline doesn't move on emotion or image. It sells on logic. But logic doesn't always close deals, especially when buyers want their truck purchase to feel bold or rewarding. The Ridgeline feels sensible, not exciting. Another issue is competition from used inventory. Lightly used body-on-frame trucks often undercut new Ridgeline pricing, while offering the traditional truck feel many buyers prefer. That makes the Ridgeline a tougher sell on value alone. Fuel economy and ride comfort should be advantages, but they haven't been strong enough to overcome buyer bias. Many shoppers appreciate those qualities during a test drive, yet still hesitate when it's time to commit. They worry about resale, perception, and long-term acceptance. Incentives don't change the narrative. Discounts help, but they don't reshape identity. Instead, they reinforce the idea that demand isn't strong. Buyers interpret that as a reason to wait. For dealers, the Ridgeline has become predictable but slow. Inventory sits quietly. Floor plan costs accumulate. Sales staff often struggle to match the truck with the right buyer before hesitation sets in. The Honda Ridgeline isn't being rejected because it's impractical. It's being ignored because it doesn't align with what most buyers emotionally want from a pickup. And in today's market, emotion matters more than ever. Number 7. Ford F-150. It sounds almost unbelievable, but even the Ford F-150 is feeling pressure on dealer lots. This is the best-selling vehicle in America for decades, the truck that usually moves no matter what the market looks like. And yet, in many areas, F-150 inventory is building faster than dealers are comfortable with. The issue isn't collapse, it's slowdown. And for a truck that normally sells at lightning speed, even a slowdown creates serious problems. Dealers stocked F-100s expecting business as usual. What they're facing instead is a buyer who has become cautious, analytical, and far less willing to rush. Pricing sits at the center of the problem. Over the years, the F-150 has steadily climbed into price territory that once felt unthinkable for a half-ton truck. Add popular options, technology packages, and higher trims, and many trucks end up far beyond what average buyers plan to spend. Loyalty helps, but it doesn't erase sticker shock. Buyers who once upgraded every few years are now stretching ownership longer. The trucks they already own still work, and with higher interest rates, replacing them feels optional rather than necessary. When urgency disappears, inventory builds, even for a legend like the F-150. Another challenge is trim overload. The F-150 lineup is massive. From work trucks to near-luxury builds, the range is impressive, but it also overwhelms buyers. Two trucks that look similar can be separated by tens of thousands of dollars. That uncertainty slows decision-making and pushes buyers into wait-and-see mode. Incentives still exist, but they don't carry the same punch they once did. Buyers expect them now. Instead of triggering purchases, they reinforce patience. Many shoppers assume that if an F-150 is sitting today, it'll be cheaper next month. There's also internal competition. Ford's own lineup splits attention between gas, hybrid, and electric versions. Some buyers hesitate, unsure which direction makes sense long-term. When uncertainty enters the picture, delays follow. For dealers, the situation is uncomfortable. The F-150 isn't a bad product, It's just caught in a market where even icons aren't immune to hesitation. Inventory ages, floor plan costs rise. Sales managers feel pressure they rarely felt before. The Ford F-150 isn't losing relevance, but its current slowdown sends a powerful message. If even America's favorite truck can stall, no pickup is truly safe in this market. Number 6. Ram 2500. The Ram 2500 sits in a very different part of the truck market. This isn't a lifestyle vehicle or a casual daily driver. It's a heavy-duty truck built for serious work. For years, that alone guaranteed demand. Dealers rarely worried about these trucks sitting too long. That confidence is now being tested. The biggest shift is who's buying heavy-duty trucks and who isn't. Commercial buyers, contractors, and small business owners have become far more cautious. When budgets tighten and projects slow, big truck purchases get delayed. Even buyers who need a heavy-duty truck are stretching ownership longer than before. Pricing is the immediate pressure point. The Ram 2500 has moved well beyond what many buyers remember paying for a work truck. Add popular options, towing packages, and higher trims, and prices climb quickly. At that level, buyers scrutinize every dollar. They don't impulse buy heavy-duty trucks. Dealers stocked Ram 2005s expecting stable demand, but inventory has started aging. Unlike half-ton trucks, the buyer pool here is smaller and more specific. When demand cools even slightly, trucks sit noticeably longer. Another issue is trim strategy. Dealers leaned into well-equipped and premium versions, assuming strong margins would justify slower movement. Instead, many buyers are looking for basic, functional work trucks, configurations that are harder to find. The mismatch leaves expensive units sitting while buyers wait or shop used. Used and fleet alternatives add pressure. Many commercial buyers turn to lightly used heavy-duty trucks to avoid the upfront cost of new. Those trucks often offer enough capability at a far lower price, making new Ram 2000s and 5s harder to justify. Incentives exist, but they don't create urgency. Heavy-duty buyers are calculated. Discounts help, but they don't override timing concerns. If work isn't lined up, the truck doesn't get bought. Simple as that. For dealers, Ram 2500 inventory ties up significant capital. Floor plan costs rise faster with expensive trucks. Sales teams spend more time waiting than selling. The Ram 2500 isn't losing relevance. It's feeling the weight of a market where work has slowed and buyers are careful. And when heavy-duty trucks stop moving quickly, it's a warning sign the entire truck market feels. Number 5. Chevrolet Silverado HD. The Chevrolet Silverado HD has long been a go-to choice for buyers who need serious capability. It's built for towing, hauling, and hard work, not image. For years, that purpose kept demand steady. Recently, though, Silverado HD inventory has started lingering on dealer lots far longer than expected. The main reason is commercial hesitation. Heavy-duty trucks rely heavily on business buyers, and those buyers are tightening spending. When project timelines stretch and costs rise, even necessary equipment purchases get delayed. A Silverado HD might be essential, but it doesn't get bought until the numbers make sense. Pricing adds another layer of resistance. Modern Silverado HDs are far more expensive than their predecessors. Once towing packages, technology, and comfort options are added, prices climb quickly. Buyers who remember simpler, cheaper work trucks feel the difference immediately and hesitate. Dealers also face an inventory mix problem. Many stocked higher trim HD models expecting strong margins. Instead, practical buyers are hunting for basic configurations. That mismatch leaves premium trucks aging while buyers wait for something simpler or cheaper. Competition from used trucks is intense. Lightly used heavy-duty pickups often provide enough capability at a significant discount. For budget-conscious businesses, used inventory feels like the safer choice. Every used sale is a new truck that doesn't move. Incentives haven't solved the issue. Discounts help, but they don't override business timing. Heavy-duty buyers purchase when work demands it, not when incentives appear. Without urgency, inventory sits. Another quiet factor is replacement cycles. Heavy-duty trucks are built to last. Owners keep them longer, especially when new prices feel high. That stretches demand thinner than dealers anticipated. For dealers, Silverado HD inventory becomes a financial burden. These trucks carry high floor plan costs, and every extra month on the lot hurts margins. Sales teams feel pressure without a quick solution. The Chevrolet Silverado HD isn't unwanted, it's waiting. And in a market where waiting is becoming common, even the toughest trucks are feeling the slowdown. Number 4. GMC Sierra HD. The GMC Sierra HD was built to be the upscale face of heavy-duty trucking. Same serious capability as its Chevrolet sibling, but wrapped in premium styling, refined interiors, and higher price tags. For a while, buyers were willing to pay that premium. Lately, dealer lots are telling a different story. The Sierra HD's biggest problem is luxury meeting hesitation. Heavy-duty buyers are practical by nature. They'll pay more, but only when the value feels undeniable. As prices climbed, the Sierra HD crossed into territory where buyers started asking hard questions. Do I really need luxury in a work truck? And if I'm paying this much, is this the smartest move right now? Dealers leaned heavily into Denali and other high-end trims, expecting strong margins to offset slower sales. Instead, those premium trucks are the ones sitting longest. The buyer pool for luxury heavy-duty trucks is smaller than dealers anticipated, especially in a cautious spending environment. There's also overlap confusion. Buyers see the Sierra HD and quickly notice how close it is mechanically to the Silverado HD parked nearby. When capability looks nearly identical, shoppers struggle to justify the extra cost. That hesitation alone can stall a deal. Business buyers are another weak point. Many contractors and fleet customers don't care about premium interiors. They care about cost, reliability, and timing. With projects slowing and budgets tightening, many are choosing used trucks or delaying purchases entirely. That removes a large chunk of the Sierra HD's natural audience. Incentives exist, but they don't feel natural. When a premium truck needs heavy discounts, buyers sense something is off. Instead of creating urgency, incentives often encourage waiting. If the price dropped once, buyers assume it'll drop again. Replacement cycles also matter here. Sierra HD owners tend to keep their trucks longer. These trucks are built to last, and when prices rise sharply, owners squeeze extra years out of what they already have. That stretches demand thinner than expected. For dealers, the Sierra HD is expensive inventory to hold. Floor plan costs add up fast. Every unsold unit ties up serious capital, increasing pressure on sales managers to move trucks without destroying margins. The GMC Sierra HD isn't being rejected, it's being questioned. And in the heavy-duty world, questioning is enough to slow everything down. Number 3. Ford Super Duty. The Ford Super Duty has always been the backbone of serious work. Contractors, fleets, and towing-heavy buyers trusted it because it delivered year after year. Dealers were used to fast turns and predictable demand. What's changed isn't the truck, it's the market around it. The Super Duty's current struggle is about price meeting patience. These trucks have climbed into eye-watering territory once options, towing tech, and comfort packages are added. Buyers who need a Super Duty still want one, but they're no longer rushing. When prices cross certain thresholds, decisions slow to a crawl. Commercial buyers feel this most. Many are delaying upgrades, stretching older trucks another season, or buying used to conserve cash. Work hasn't vanished, but budgets are tighter and timelines are longer. That means fewer impulse replacements and more calculated purchases. Bad news for lots full of brand-new Super Duties. Dealers also leaned into higher trims, assuming strong margins would offset slower sales. The result? Expensive configurations sitting longer than planned. Meanwhile, the simpler work-spec trucks that buyers actually want are harder to find. That mismatch leaves inventory aging even when interest exists. There's also a financing reality check. Heavy-duty trucks already carry high prices. Pair that with higher borrowing costs and monthly payments jump dramatically. Buyers who once shrugged at payments now run the numbers and hesitate. Hesitation turns into waiting, and waiting turns into inventory buildup. Incentives haven't restored momentum. Discounts help, but Super Duty buyers don't chase deals the way half-ton shoppers might. They buy when the job demands it. If the workload isn't urgent, the truck stays on the lot, rebate or not. Another subtle factor is longevity. Super Duties are built to last, and owners know it. Many are choosing to maintain what they already have rather than replace it. That stretches replacement cycles and thins demand across the board. For dealers, holding Super Duty inventory is costly. These trucks tie up capital quickly, and floor plan expenses mount with every passing month. Sales teams feel the pressure to move metal without slashing prices too deeply. A difficult balance. The Ford Super Duty isn't losing its crown, but its slowdown is a clear signal. When even the most trusted work trucks pause, the market has fundamentally shifted. Number 2. Toyota Tacoma. The Toyota Tacoma has built its reputation on one thing above all else: loyalty. For years, buyers lined up without hesitation, confident they were getting reliability, resale value, and long-term ownership peace of mind. Dealers rarely worried about Tacoma's sitting. That confidence has been shaken. The biggest shock came from pricing. With the latest generation, Tacoma prices jumped into territory many longtime buyers weren't prepared for. Buyers who expected a familiar upgrade suddenly found numbers that felt closer to full-size trucks. That moment of surprise stopped momentum almost overnight. Tacoma buyers are famously patient. When something feels off, they don't complain. They wait. Many are choosing to keep their older Tacomas rather than pay the premium for a new one. Those trucks still run, still hold value, and still do the job. Waiting feels smart. The new Tacoma also brought changes that raised eyebrows. More technology, more complexity, and a different driving feel. None of these are necessarily bad, but for conservative buyers, change introduces uncertainty. And uncertainty kills urgency. Dealers stocked Tacomas expecting the same turnover they'd seen for years. Instead, Inventory started aging. Incentives appeared cautiously, but Toyota's restrained approach to discounting meant they weren't aggressive enough to reset demand. Buyers saw that and assumed patience would be rewarded. Another challenge is cross-shopping. Buyers comparing Tacomas now see competitive trucks offering similar capability for less money, or full-size trucks not far above in price thanks to incentives. That comparison weakens Tacoma's traditional value argument. Resale value, once the Tacoma's ace card, also plays a strange role. Because older Tacomas hold value so well, many owners feel no pressure to upgrade. Selling or trading doesn't unlock enough benefit to justify the new price. For dealers, this is unfamiliar territory. A truck that once sold itself now requires explanation, justification, and time. Inventory sits. Floor plan costs climb. The Toyota Tacoma hasn't lost its reputation, but it has lost momentum. And when momentum disappears, even the most loyal buyers step back and wait. Number 1. Rivian R1T. The Rivian R1T was supposed to be the future of pickup trucks. Sleek, electric, tech-heavy, and positioned as a premium alternative to traditional work trucks. Early on, it captured attention and admiration. But on dealer lots and in the broader market, that excitement has cooled dramatically. The biggest issue is niche demand colliding with real-world pricing. The R1T isn't aimed at traditional truck buyers, and it doesn't fully satisfy them either. It's too expensive to be a casual purchase and too specialized to replace a conventional work truck. That leaves it stuck between audiences. Price is the first wall buyers hit. Once incentives fade and real monthly payments come into focus, hesitation sets in fast. Buyers start asking practical questions. What happens to resale? What about repairs? What if charging becomes inconvenient? When a truck costs this much, doubt is enough to kill the deal. Then there's the electric pickup reality. Range concerns resurface quickly when towing, hauling, or driving in cold weather. Early adopters may accept those limitations, but mainstream buyers don't. They want certainty, not calculations. Charging infrastructure adds another layer of friction. Home charging works well for some, but not everyone. Apartment dwellers, rural buyers, and older homeowners often hesitate at the idea of electrical upgrades. Public charging still doesn't feel seamless enough to replace gas-powered convenience for a truck buyer. Dealers also face a confidence problem. The R1T doesn't have decades of brand history or a proven long-term ownership record. That makes buyers cautious, especially at premium prices. Even those who like the truck often choose to wait and see. Incentives haven't solved the problem. Discounts signal softness, not strength. Buyers interpret price cuts as confirmation that demand didn't meet expectations, and that deeper reductions may come later. Waiting feels smarter than buying. There's also a perception gap. The R1T is impressive, but many buyers don't see it as a true replacement for a traditional pickup. When a truck fails the mental test of, "Can I depend on this every day?" sales slow sharply. For dealers, the R1T represents tied-up capital and unpredictable demand. Inventory doesn't move quickly enough to feel healthy, and explaining value takes more effort than closing deals. The Rivian R1T isn't a bad truck. It's a reminder that being early doesn't guarantee being ready. And in today's cautious market, readiness matters more than hype. If you want, next we can write the outro, tighten the opening hook, or start polishing this into a final 4,500-word upload-ready script. What we're seeing across dealer lots right now isn't random, and it isn't temporary. Pickup trucks were once the safest bet in the auto industry. Dealers ordered them confidently, buyers lined up eagerly, and inventory rarely sat long enough to become a problem. That era has quietly ended. Today's market is ruled by hesitation. Prices climbed faster than incomes. Incentives lost their power. Buyers learned that waiting often pays off. Even the most trusted truck nameplates are now feeling the pressure of slower turnover and aging inventory. For dealers, this is a warning sign. Inventory costs don't pause just because buyers do. Every truck that sits longer than expected ties up capital and shrinks margins. The overflow we're seeing isn't about bad trucks. It's about misreading the moment. For buyers, the power has shifted. Choice is back. Patience is rewarded. And the urgency that once defined truck shopping is gone. The truck market isn't collapsing overnight, but it is resetting. And the trucks on this list are the clearest proof that even America's most dominant vehicles are no longer immune to change.